Welcome back to another video. In this tutorial I'll show you how to create a beautiful fall temperate forest. A dense forest full of bushes and trees in the heart of autumn. This gives your world a warm, cozy aesthetic, and the progress is quite simple. So let's dive right in. First, we're going to start by creating a chunk. In this chunk I'll place all of the trees, and later on we can duplicate it to quickly expand our forest. So right now I'm outlining a grid, and inside this grid we have our chunk ready to go. The first thing I'll do is fill the chunk with dirt, because we won't be using the default grass for this build. And dirt just works best for a base layer of the fall forest. Now I've already selected a variety of trees that fit perfectly in the temperate forest vibe. I'm going to start placing them around in chunk. I'm aiming for a pretty dense forest here, but remember, you can always remove trees later if you need. I've added the full list of all the trees and bushes that I've used in the description. While you're down there, consider leaving a like and subscribing. These trees are bushy and can obstruct the view a bit, so instead of adding all the trees and then moving on to bushes and grasses, I'm going to duplicate the chunk and make a separate layer for the grasses, bushes and other small elements. I start by placing a mix of fall leaves across the forest floor. I'm also going to paint the ground with dirt as I go, which I forgot to do on earlier. After placing these leaves, I feel like I still need a bit more, so I'm duplicating them and just rotating them for a more dense coverage. Perfect, that looks much better. Now it's time to add the bushes and grasses. Since we have this randomized pattern of leaves on the ground, I'm using it as guidelines for where to place the greenery. Anywhere where it's still just dirt, I'm going to start adding grasses and small bushes. I'm thinking about how, in real life, leaves tend to cover the ground and flatten the grass underneath, so in areas with fewer leaves, the grass will show through more clearly. Now I'm going to move on to larger bushes like nettles, placing these around the chunk because they're perfect for a dense temperate forest, and I love the look they give. If you're familiar with European forest, especially here in the Netherlands, these nettles are everywhere and they kinda suck, because they sting. But it does give the forest a wild, untamed look. I'm also adding even bigger bushes now, really packing them in to make this forest feel as dense as possible. I'm aiming for a thick forest where it feels like walking through it would be difficult, just like the real ones I see near my house. One thing I'm doing here, which adds a lot of realism, is scattering fall leaves and branches across the ground, rotating them to make sure they look natural and not too uniform. These dead trees are great for that. I'm also adding some dead tree stumps and flipping them around for extra detail, which gives the forest a more rugged, lived-in feel, with the branches sticking out. Interestingly, I'm skipping rocks and stones for this forest. The soft soil of temperate forest usually makes rocks sink into the ground, so often you don't see many of them. Since I've rarely seen rocks in environments like this, I'm leaving them out. Alright, now that I've got the ground cover, the trees, the foliage in place, I'm going to merge the two layers together. And there we go. You can already see how everything comes together nicely. The tall trees, the dense overgrown and scattered leaves, this is what makes up our chunk. But wait, there's more. I'm going to add a little something extra, particle effects. There is this falling leaves effects, and wow, it just really elevates the scene. These falling leaves add such a dynamic element to the forest, making the forest feel more alive and in motion. It's subtle but super effective. Now that our chunk is complete, it's time to expand the forest. I'll outline the area where I want the forest to be and paint the ground with dirt. I suggest you do the same to keep it consistent with what we've already built. Once that is done, I'll start duplicating it across the field. As I duplicate it, I make sure to align everything properly. I also rotate the chunks to add variety and avoid a repetitive look. And there you have it, a large area full of forest. After duplicating the forest, I'm going to split all the objects so they're no longer grouped. This gives me the flexibility to use the bulldozer tool to adjust the size and shape of the forest. I want some areas to be denser than others, so I'm going to delete a few trees from the inside to open up the forest a bit. Deleting some trees also really helps break up the uniformity and makes the forest look more natural. Now I need to check for any misplaced particle effects. Because I deleted some trees, they just end up floating in the air. So if you see them, just go ahead and remove them. And there you have it. At this point, our forest is basically complete. To enhance the effect even more, I've added the small barn, which you can find on my Steam workshop. And that's it for today's tutorial. I've hoped you enjoyed building this fall temperate forest with me. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.